Are we supposed to do the disclaimer at this point? Like, we are not. This is not financial advice.
Yeah, not financial advice. We're not professionals. We're bozos, morons.
Don't sue us if the book goes down.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Comic Room podcast. But also, welcome back to the Comic Room.
That's right.
I'm Joshua, also known as Spro, and I have here with me Mr. Longbox. We got issue 21.
That's right. We're legal now.
Yep, we can drink. So,
but we can't rent a car yet.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Next month.
I mean, I think you can rent a car, but it comes with like crazy fees.
Yeah, like a premium. Yeah, some kind of
It's
per diem fee for not being 25. It's like the last actual societal age related hurdle until you get to closer to my age when you start saying, cool, when do I start getting the senior discount at the movies, you know?
Oh, man. Yeah, I remember Dara and I went to New Mexico for something, and we caravan there, but then we were coming back early, so we had to rent a car to come back. And yeah, I remember the fees were like, it's like, really?
Right. It's one of those hidden corners of society where age has an impact, but you would never think about, because when you turn 21, you're done. Like, I'm good. I'm there. I'm officially past every milestone. I can do everything. Yeah. Except that one.
Yeah. It's so weird. Because at that point, if you're like a responsible adult by that point, you've probably been driving for almost 10 years. Because at least in California, you can get your permit at 15 and a half.
Yeah.
And then, so you're 20. So you have 10 years of road experience. So it's like, that's a long time. Even you cut that in half to 20, that 5 years on the road.
Yeah. Come on.
Still pretty good.
They've got some actuary table, something. Somehow, like, they figured out that it's too risky. I don't get it.
Yeah.
But, all I know is that if I go to Golden Corral, I get some kind of discount. I only know that because of their commercials. There is no Golden Corral in anywhere around here. That's like a Midwest thing. But like when you're watching national broadcasts, like Golden Corral, if you're 55 or older, you get like, if you come in for dinner at 3 p.m.
Oh man,
I'm getting to the point like I get hungry at 3.
And back to the driving thing real quick.
Yeah.
If it was like guys 25 and girls like 21, that would actually make sense to me.
Yeah.
Because the statistics are there for that.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
We're terrible.
Yeah.
We're so irresponsible.
Yeah.
We don't actually, I think there's probably science behind it. I don't think we get we could step into like actual adulthood brain wise until we're 25. I think maybe it's true for both guys and gals, but I know guys are still cognitively developing, and I know I was an absolute knucklehead.
Yeah.
Probably till I was 24, 25. Like I was making all like not good choices.
Yeah. Oh man. Nice. Good stories.
Yeah, that's right.
In those times.
Yeah.
But that's not what this podcast is.
No, we'll save that for some other podcast. Yeah.
This is a comic book podcast.
There's no confessionals today. Sorry.
So today we got an incredible wall behind me, which I will quickly run through most and talk a little bit about one a little bit more.
I'm jealous of your wall.
We also have a new Funko down here for our YouTube watchers. Spider-Man. Okay.
She's not having it. Leave me be. I was napping.
Yeah, they got. I found that at Target. So now we got the whole Blacklight set of.
I love the Blacklight set.
So.
I need to get some of those. I think they're cool.
Yeah, they are cool.
Yeah.
So, anyways, what do we got? What do we got today? We're gonna talk about this wall behind me for one. We're gonna talk about some news.
Mm-hmm.
We got some FF news a little bit. Nothing crazy. Let me see. I'll pull up my notes here. Some stuff that we missed in the Penguin.
A lot's come out. Yeah, a lot of like, what do you call those things? Easter eggs and stuff like that.
Easter eggs. Some Across the Spider-Verse, which is why this poster is up today. Black Panther 3 news. I think it's probably the only news we have in regards to Black Panther 3, and some DC news. And then we're going to talk about this Action 1 comic sale that happened / didn't happen.
Yeah.
So that's where we'll be today. If you just want to skip ahead to some certain parts, the time codes are all in the description. But before we get to all that, of course, we're going to start off with show and tell.
Yes.
So why don't you kick us off?
Okay.
Because you'll be here, and then the rest of these will stay on the wall.
Okay, so this is a show and tell that I could have brought since issue 1 of this podcast. I thought about it every single week. Oh, is this the week I'm going to bring this one? And there's always some other book that I just acquired or has something to do with maybe what we're doing that week. But this week I'm bringing it, and this is something that probably isn't on anybody's radar at all. But it's House of Secrets issue number 61.
Nice.
In an 8.5 off-white pages. This is, I have my glasses on, but I already know that this is July to August 1963. So this is within a year of Fantastic Four issue number 1. It's really within almost 8 months of Fantastic Four issue number 1. Why do I have this house? Like, okay, it's nice. It's a high grade, early 60s House of Secrets. That's cool and everything. But why do I care about this book? This is the first appearance of Eclipso. No, I chuckle when I say it because Eclipso is not a household name, but DC has explored Eclipso, even got a new reboot origin story, maybe a decade to 15 years ago, I think. But he's a really cool character. If you're curious about it, look him up. But what happened was the origin of my being interested in this book is that I went to my LCS and they had an early House of Secrets with a really just a cool bright orange cover. I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And it had like in this issue Eclipso, that they were doing. That's what they did for a while. And then eventually Eclipso kind of became the headliner of this series. And if you're wondering what he looks like, this is his first cover appearance from House of Secrets 66. Really cool.
Ooh.
Just a slick looking character. He's like a embodiment of good and evil all in one. So it's a very creative concept, I thought, and just an interesting, colorful character. And they ran for maybe 20 or so issues where he was kind of headlining House of Secrets, and then we got into this area right here.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is the first appearance of Eclipso, and I was looking for this book, and I ended up picking up every one of his House of Secrets appearances. But this one I picked up at an AdCon last year, and it was raw, and I can't remember how much I paid for it, but it was less than what an 8.5 would go for. And there are only 45 copies on the CGC census higher than an 8.5, or even either that or 8.5 or higher. I think that's actually what it is.
Yeah.
I'll double check that, but that's a sweet looking book for a 1963 first appearance.
Yeah.
Is Eclipso ever going to emerge as like this big time hero / villain? Because he's kind of both. I don't really know. I don't know. But if he does, this book's going to go crazy because it just aren't. It's as old, like I said, as the first 10 issues of Fantastic Four. And this is an 8.5, and it is clean.
Yeah, no kidding.
8.5. And
what year is it again?
1963. July to August 1963. So I guess they were publishing this every other month. So incredible book. I'm so excited about it. If they never do anything, if DC never does anything with Eclipso, I'm still stoked to have it. I like early first appearances.
Yeah.
And this is Eclipso is obscure, but he's not that obscure.
Yeah.
Like this is a noted key, and it's, in a mid grade, even it's going to be a $400 to $500 book. But you get into these grades and, it's kind of like buy or pick your price, because there aren't that many that you find. So anyway, cool book. Now I'm a big Eclipso fan, and not just because I'm invested in it. I'm invested in it because I think he's a cool character. Bless you.
Thank you.
But now that I'm invested in it, of course, I'm even more of a fan because of it should go up. But in any event, it's still it's a really sharp, high grade, a copy of an early House of Secrets. So that's also cool. So
Yeah.
anyway, there you go.
Nice. Thanks for sharing.
And it is a sleeper.
Cool book.
It's hard to call a book that's $500 a sleeper because it's not like people don't know. But it is, I think, a book that
It's from 1963.
if Eclipso ever. Eclipso had his own title at a certain time, like I think it was in the early 2000s or maybe the 1990s. But if Eclipso, becomes anything at all, and there's any amount of demand for this book, it's gonna go up significantly because there just aren't very many copies around.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Sweet book, high grade. I mean, 8.5 from 1963 is.
Yep.
That's no joke. So
yeah, I was so excited to get it. It was one of those claim sales where the seller wasn't taking offers. It was just, hey, look, we're gonna run through it. I'm gonna give you a price. If you want it, claim it. If you don't, we'll move on. And at the end of the night, if there's I'll be willing to take some offers. I was watching it. That book came up. He said it's like a 8.0, 8.5 or something like 7 to 8. 7.5 to 8. So he said something like that, and he threw the price out, and I think it was $5.65. I think it's what I paid for.
Yeah.
It. And I just claim. I didn't even play around.
Yeah.
And I might have been the only guy on there that was even looking for that book. And,
Yeah.
but I wasn't gonna let someone else snipe it.
Sure.
So,
for sure.
And that's not. I have no regrets, man. That book's awesome.
Yeah.
One of my favorite books in my collection.
Yeah, it's sweet. Cool. All right. So I'm up next, and my show and tell is kind of this whole wall, but specifically we're going to start with this FF3. I'm not going to take it off the wall, so I will just zoom in real quick. Boom, you see it. It's a FF3. It's a 3.5 grade off-white pages. I got this in this collection that I've been telling you guys about that hopefully soon, I'm hoping the next couple weeks to do a live sale. Don't hold me to that, but that's what I'm hoping for. I'm trying to get locked in with one of these consignment pages. So anyways, got this in this collection. Most of these books, actually all of these books except one of them, I got in the collection. This book is probably my favorite out of the entire lot. Bob, Mr. Longbox, tells me all the time, like, I don't know how you're gonna sell these. Like,
I don't.
And it'll be easy because I have a little bit of overhead, right? I got some rent to pay, and a couple other bills in regards to that. But like, most of these books are like, they're cool to own for a season, right? Like, I'm not the biggest fan of FF48. I'm glad I have it. I'm not gonna be like mad when I move it. Same with Iron Man 1, like, gorgeous book. Not gonna be too mad when I move it. What else? Yeah, the Avengers 1. That one will probably be tough just because of the grade, but like, it's gonna be nice to move that book actually. But anyways, a lot of these books, I love holding them.
Yeah.
But this book, for some reason, I've like grown an attachment to. So I've said, excuse me, I've said before that I'm probably going to hold on to it until the movie or the trailer. But honestly, I have a feeling that when the movie or trailer comes out, it's going to make me want to keep it even more.
I know what this is. This is an elaborate negotiation tool against me. This is what you're doing. I just admit it. Like, you know that if at some point I'm going to be like, so about that FF3, and you're going to say, Bob, I don't want to part with it.
And then, I mean, then it just becomes an inheritance. So it's a win-win for me, I guess.
You sell it to me and then get it later. Yeah. Yeah. No, but in all seriousness, yeah, right. I mean, that book, I've seen it pictured. Obviously, I've seen it in conventions, but I've never actually like held it up close and looked at it. And remember when you had it raw, kind of looking at it, it just hits different. It's just such a cool book when you have it in your hands.
Yeah, and you know, I have to say this. I think I've been slightly converted holding some of these books raw and then getting them back graded. Like, I'm just like, wow, it's totally different. Like, I almost miss it raw. But the only thing about that though is the slab is where the money is.
Yeah.
So like, that is why I only I graded 11 books total out of like probably 1,000. And I have another batch that I'm considering sending in. But CGC's turnaround is like 81 days or something like that, crazy right now. So probably not. But yeah, like that Avengers 1, I mean, I needed to get that like verified, encapsulated, guaranteed.
Yeah,
like,
you did.
But I kind of miss when it was raw. So,
well, yeah, you were sending me pictures. You still are, as you're going through these books. Check out this splash page, or look, this is the actual first appearance. Like this is where this character's actually first appeared on a page anywhere. It's historical, but also, the covers are great, but you can't overlook the art of the inside.
Yeah.
Because it's amazing. It's incredible. There's some really amazing panels, but it's tough if it's a book that you're trying to move. And also, it's scary to hold a raw book of high value. I mean, I'm confident in my ability to hold a comic book, but I wouldn't want to hold Avengers 1 raw in my hands. Like
sure.
It's just too stressful for me. I mean, if it were mine, I think less stressful, because even though I don't want to wreck my own, but I don't want to hold somebody else's, because, you wreck a friendship over something like that.
Yeah. So I had to, these books I found were it was definitely the most important ones that I was like, okay, like needed to get these like graded. I probably could have kept the FF49 ungraded, but I was like, you know what? Like I'm sending in the 48 and I got the custom label. Like, well, I knew it was going to be lower grade, but I was like, why not? Like I might as well just do it. But yeah, I mean, the rest of them, like, yeah, they're all books that have a very significant place in the market.
Yep.
And yeah, just needed them to be verified and guaranteed, and to find their place in the market. So
yeah, that's a collection. All right.
The only book that wasn't in this collection was the FF23. That was my old one.
Which is a great book.
Yeah. So
love it.
Yeah, I'm surprised this came back a 5.0 actually. I thought this was going to be lower. Higher.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a 6, but I guess I was wrong. So I have another copy, also a lower grade one. But this graded out about where I thought. What are you going to say?
I was going to say, any one of these books though, like if I walked into the LCS in our town or in any town, any one of these books, I'll include this one. Any one of these books, if it was the only one they had, it would be a whoa, look at that.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
Like, hey, can I take a look at that? Yeah. And like I walk into the comic room and they're just up on the wall. It's pretty overwhelming.
Yeah. This one is actually my old copy. I kept the 5.5. But this one's now going to the market. I'll be selling this one. And yeah, it's the first copy of FF48 I've ever owned. So I'm not a big fan. Looks like a big baby to me, but I mean,
you always say that, but I like it.
I think FF49 is the better one. The Watcher has better covers.
Yeah, he does.
This one, for whatever reason, I don't know. The shoes, I don't know. The whole thing is weird. We both thought this Iron Man 1 was going to grade higher. This graded out at a 6.0.
I really thought it could get as high as an 8.0. So what does it tell you about my grading skills? Confirmation bias. It's going to be a 9.2.
We also thought that House of Secrets was going to grade higher.
Yeah.
I think that thing got dinged for tanning on like the interior covers. That thing that is by far the most beautiful 6.0 I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it's really, really very, it's just beautiful.
Yeah. FF52 is about where I thought.
Yeah.
X-Men 7, right on the, I hit that one almost on the head.
7.0, First Juggernaut.
It's a great book.
Off-white pages, beautiful.
What's the number? Is that X-Men 12?
Yep.
Yeah.
And like the reds are really red, which, red fades quickly if you leave it out in the sun. So that book's been cared for.
Yeah. So yeah, these are the big bangers, the ones that were worth getting graded. I also have a Submariner one, but I didn't send it in because a few of these were unlimited value and then the rest were high value. And I don't think the Submariner one is worth as much as this one.
No.
But
nor should it be.
Yeah. So anyways, let's show and tell.
Wow.
So last week was the Avengers 1. If you missed last week's episode, go back and listen to that while we talk about that copy of Avengers 1.
Yep.
It's a 4.0 off-white. And then this week, 3.5, and then I probably won't do a show and tell.
I'm glad I brought this one for my show and tell because it holds up against this wall.
Yeah.
Like it fits. Like if I had brought something, more like story oriented, it would be like a little bit
Why is that
like a step down from this wall. But this one would belong on that wall. It would fit.
Yeah, it would. All right. Sweet.
Yeah, good stuff.
Off to news. By the way, I forgot to say this at the beginning. If at any point in the podcast there's just like a hard cut, it's because I have to go tend to something real quick. So if our conversation pauses and picks up, especially for you audio listeners, because you don't see any change, yeah. It's because I'm leaving, and then
you don't want to leave me alone at the controls. You have no idea what I'm going to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, at least there'll be witnesses of me like slipping the FF3 off the wall. You'll be able to check the tape.
I could I censor you. So, all right. So news. Beyond the Spider-Verse news.
Okay.
So Sony. This is the source for this is. His name is Brandon Davis. He's kind of an independent reporter. Okay. I think he used to be with a media company, and then I think either he left or the company dissolved. I don't remember, or dissolved after he left. I don't. Anyways, he's got a little bit of reputation.
Okay.
And now he's trying out the independent life as a reporter. So. He said Sony reportedly restarted the script for Beyond the Spider-Verse after Across the Spider-Verse was released. They reportedly still haven't decided on an ending. So,
okay.
Yeah. So I know was it Phil Lord and Christopher Miller? One of them said like a few months ago that it was going along nicely, but this report is that it reportedly doesn't have an ending. So,
well, they don't know how it ends. Then
how do they know what's going on?
What does that mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it is supposed to be the conclusion of this trilogy, so it's
Yeah.
not just the end of the movie; it's the end of the story arc.
Yeah,
all of them.
So people thought we were going to get Beyond the Spider-Verse news this week because in Chelsea, New York, a big Miles's. That spider logo, but from Across the Spider-Verse was being hung up, covered like 3 stories on a building. And it was like a light. So people thought it was like, oh shoot, they're going to drop a trailer. Like this makes sense because Craven comes out in December. So they'd want to run the trailer in front of Craven. Like, so maybe we're getting the movie in a year. Nope. It was an ad for a TV. So,
man, we gotta wait.
So yeah, still nothing. That's the best we got right now.
Okay.
But hey, if they're taking the time and it comes out and it's great, no one's gonna be mad. If they rush it and it's bad, everyone's gonna be mad.
I like the Jordans he's wearing.
Yeah, you can buy those. They designed a pair.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. What about Spider-Boy ones? Like whatever he was wearing?
No, those look like Steph's.
Well, why do you say that with such disdain? This is him as a Laker fan and me as a Warrior fan. They look like Steph's.
Because
I own 2 pairs of Currys.
Unfortunately, Under Armour doesn't know how to cook when it comes to design.
I can't really argue. I thought the Curry 3s were really cool, and I own a pair of Curry 3s and I own a pair of Curry 2.5s. And those are cool, but yeah, I wouldn't. They don't really hold up to like what Nike's designs are, and maybe even Reebok's.
Yeah, to be fair, no, I don't think anybody does. Like,
right?
I think New Balance is trying, and I like New Balance shoes. I have a few pairs of New Balance shoes. They're like running shoes, and tennis shoes are fine.
Yeah.
I like them, but yeah, they're athletic shoes. Or no, sorry, they're basketball shoes.
It's time for Puma to make a comeback.
I mean,
they were the thing when I was a kid. That was like,
yeah,
Puma was the thing, and then Puma was the thing like 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, and then all of a sudden Nike showed up, and then Nike was everything.
Yeah,
because it was just
like, cool.
Yeah, it was. It just had a cool name. Nike, had this. I don't know.
Have you seen, what's it called? Air?
Yeah, I have.
That's a cool movie.
That was a good movie. Yeah.
Okay. Excuse me. Denzel Washington has been doing press for Gladiator 2, and he recently said on the media tour that Ryan Coogler, writer and director for Black Panther movies, is writing a role for him in Black Panther 3.
Yeah, I heard about that.
So
this is one piece of news I did hear.
wow, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's big. If it's big enough to come to my ears, then it's big news, right?
Yeah.
It's speculation. Would he be in a position to play T'Challa? Probably not, right? Like, I don't think they make him the Black Panther.
No, I think he was the fan cast for like the 90s. Like, if they made the Avengers in the 90s, who would it be? And it was like Leonardo DiCaprio as Peter, Denzel as Black Panther, Tom Cruise as Iron Man.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't make it in the 90s. Tom Cruise's Iron Man doesn't work for me.
Yeah, no, I just don't like him in general.
Yeah.
He gives me the same vibes as The Rock.
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
So, anyways, yeah, I mean, do you have any idea who he could play?
He could play like one of the like ancestor type things, like maybe T'Challa's grandfathers. I think that's a character. Maybe that,
Yeah, I was thinking that too, like potentially Grandpa.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's ever been mentioned in the movies, but I know there's a game coming out. I think it's called like Captain America, like 1944 or something like that.
Yeah.
Or it's like World War II. It's like actual like Captain America time, and Black Panther's in it, but it's T'Challa's grandpa.
So that's cool. Maybe that's it then. Or since we're in the era of the multiverse, it could be T'Challa from a different universe that's older.
Yeah.
That would be dope. I'd be into that. I think that'd be really cool. As a way to move Marvel somehow past Chadwick Boseman, because we've talked about this before. Like, how do you do it?
Yeah, this actually, you've been saying this for a long time, and Twitter actually has started to say it. And it was, they were all saying, like, especially, Black Americans, they were like, yeah, this is our guy. And Chadwick died, and it's sad, and he was great, but he's not T'Challa.
Right.
They were like, T'Challa is our guy in the comics. Yeah. And we want to see him on screen. Back, yeah. So Marvel needs to like put him on screen. And of course there was some like other like crazy stuff that people were saying, like,
because I've heard some, talk about, well, what about what they show us at the end of Black Panther 2, with T'Challa's son, and is that going to be like I won't say nobody wants it, like that's a character, but T'Challa is Black Panther. Yeah. T'Challa is not dead in the comics. I've said it before, and so maybe that's a way to do it. Like, let Denzel be an older T'Challa from a different Earth.
Yeah. And even like from a cultural perspective, that's not my own, that I've seen from Twitter, is a lot of what is being said is like Marvel will recast General Ross, right?
Yeah, right.
Because that actor died. And Marvel has had no problem recasting other actors before, but for some reason when it came to T'Challa, it was like they couldn't. And so I know that's like a bit of a grievance that that culture has kind of had. And so I mean, I understand on one side, like, Chadwick Boseman was incredible, and it kind of blindsided everybody because he kept the sickness close to his chest. But yeah, I mean, those stories need to be told. That group of people need to hear those stories.
It's an insane part of Marvel, the Marvel history. He's just woven into it. It's so critical. And I think they'll do. I'll call it the right thing. I don't know if that's the right term to use, but in my mind, it's the right thing. There's been a long enough time has passed to honor Chadwick Boseman's contributions, and I don't think it's taking anything away from his legacy as the actor to introduce now at this point 5-6 years later somebody now new to play T'Challa. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. It's all right.
Yeah. exactly. So yeah, pretty cool. I'm excited to see whatever
I am too.
whatever Denzel does.
And there's that animated series that's coming out, I think, in a year.
Oh yeah, Eyes of Wakanda.
I'm excited about that. I like the Wakanda story from the comic books. I think it's just so cool. And I'm always coming at this from the comic book world. And what you bring, you know the comic book world too, but you bring something that I don't typically bring, which is the movie side of it. Like I'll watch the movies, but I don't study them the way you do.
Yeah.
Right. But I just know from the comic book world, like Wakanda and Black Panther art and covers, it's always different. It just has it looks just different on the rack. I don't know if I suppose it's intentional, right?
Yeah.
And I want it. The colors are brighter. The art is more avant-garde. I don't know what to say, but I want more of it.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm stoked about what they might do with the animated series. I hope it's of the same caliber, which I expect it will be.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for that. Honestly, I'm excited for the Captain America game too. Like with
that's a whole area I know nothing about, like the video
Yeah.
game stuff. But they do weave stories into the video games and draw from the video games into the movies, right?
Yeah, so I have no clue if we'll go to Wakanda in that game, but yeah, I'm forgetting his grandpa's name. It's T'Chaka.
Yeah.
And I can't remember.
I can't remember either, but he's real. Like that character exists in the universe.
So, anyways, excited for that. Let me see. Okay, so the rest of this is DC news. Let's start with something that we forgot in the Penguin. So this is huge, actually. I didn't notice it. I don't really have like an eye for this kind of stuff. But when Penguin goes into the court, did you see this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what you're going to say, but I mean, I remember when he goes into the court.
Yeah. So the drapes like behind, excuse me, the drapes behind him, they form the shape of an owl. So here's the picture.
Hold on.
Old man glasses.
You got if you're gonna get that discount at Golden Corral, you got to earn it. There we go. No, I missed that entirely.
Yeah.
I missed that entirely.
Yeah, I mean that's an owl.
Wow. No, there's no without a doubt, it's an owl.
Yeah, and pictures on screen for you video watchers and for you audio listeners. Just
in a court.
Yeah. So, I mean, that couldn't be more on the nose, right?
Right.
Like,
but it's subtle enough that I missed it. I was looking at Oz.
Yeah, same. So, yeah, totally missed that, but I mean, looks great.
Well, that was one of your major sleepers a few months ago, was picking up the whole Court of Owls series, not just the first appearance, which I have because of you. Thank you. But you were saying all the issues, because the individual characters are they debut along the way, right? And then the whole collection being identified as a Court of Owls is that one that we all know. Yeah. With that amazing cover. But and it still hasn't popped yet, but it's your time's running out. It's like you see the signs, right? Yeah. It's right there.
Excuse me. Did you read it yet?
No, but it's at the time of this recording, I am on the brink of Thanksgiving.
Right.
And for me, Thanksgiving is the whole week off. After that, I go back and I have one semester and then it's final exams. 1 week and then final. One semester. Boy, one week and then it's final exams. So my schedule's about to clear up. So I've got a mini pile of things. Yeah. I'm going to finish.
I'll lend you a copy. So you gotta.
I know it's pressure, man. It's pressure to accept a loan of a book from somebody because, you can't hold it forever. You know,
I'm gonna put a time on my
and it won't take long.
Gift.
Like, when I sit down and finally read it, I'll probably read it in an hour and a half. It's not gonna. And when I finish, I'm like, why didn't I just do this? I had an hour and a half somewhere in there, but it is what it is.
All right, next up, this is a rumor. I think you'll like this one actually. Okay. Daniel Craig of James Bond fame, is rumored to be cast as Sergeant Rock.
Really? Yeah. Yeah, I like that. That's good.
So, the director of the film,
it'd be good.
is, I'm forgetting his name. He's an Italian guy. He's made some weird movies, honestly. Like, I haven't seen any of them, but I know enough about them just to know that they're weird. I can't think of the name. Challengers, I think, is the name of one of them.
Okay.
Anyways, he's a very European filmmaker. So he's doing Sergeant Rock. So this director and Daniel Craig are the two names attached to this. Yeah, I mean, get your first appearance of Sergeant Rock.
Sergeant Rock. That's the Wayback Machine though. Sergeant Rock isn't that 50s?
I don't know. I'm
gonna look it up because I know for sure it's at least early Silver Age, but it might even be prior to that. I'm gonna find out right now.
Yeah, you know, military comics are not my thing.
No,
I like when Nick Fury gets sci-fi.
Yeah, that's cool.
When Steranko took over, that's my vibe.
Oh, yeah, anything Steranko is my vibe. That guy is so underrated.
I've kept a couple. Okay, so talking about the collection, there's a handful of Steranko books that I got, and yeah, some of his Nick Fury stuff, I just had to keep. I was just like, this is too good.
Yeah,
and also there's a Captain America in there, Captain America 111, and I was like, yep, I'm keeping this too.
Yeah, man, he's incredible. Here we go. So you got your Men of War is a prototype of Sergeant Rock, and that's 1955. But the actual first appearance of Sergeant Rock. Oh, and there's another prototype of Sergeant Rock, and it's Our Army at War from 1959. That's like 3K, so that's higher. But where's the actual? Okay, first cameo appearance of Sergeant Rock is Army at War. Our Army at War, issue 82 from 1959. And then his first full appearance, Our Army at War, issue 83, December 1959. According to Key Collector, high grade price, $15K.
Yep, I'm looking at that too.
Dang. So in issue 82, he appears in 2 panels, but then his full appearance, and it looks like cover appearance too.
Luca Guadagnino. That's the director.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
if you're going to get the first appearance of Sergeant Rock, you might have to settle for the first cameo appearance because if you want the first appearance, even in mid grade, according to Key Collector, it's over $4,000.
Sheesh.
So
crazy.
But hey, man, first issue. Okay, here though, if you're issue 88. Is a key, but it's less expensive. It's the first issue exclusive to Sergeant Rock stories.
Oh.
So, and that's that in high grade, Key Collector says $1,000. So mid grade 170. So that so maybe there's your entry point if you're into it.
Yeah, and don't forget the surrounding characters.
Yeah,
looks like there's a lot of them. I'm just running through.
I mean, it's kind of interesting correlation because G.I. Joe. From the 80s.
Yeah.
Those books have been, the issue 1 especially has popped up on the hot list a lot in the last 12 months. It isn't right now, but then you have G.I. Joe and Transformer. Like it's just, but Sergeant Rock is G.I. Joe long before G.I. Joe was G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Or maybe Sergeant Rock was Sergeant Rock before G.I. Joe was Sergeant Rock. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Here's okay, so we talk about, not us, but people talk about race swapping, right? They're like, they don't want characters to be race swapped. And, I generally disagree. Unless it's like, you don't race swap Black Panther, right? Like,
well, exactly.
That, like, you don't do that. But, like, other characters, like, I don't care. Like, race swap Galactus, I don't care.
Yeah,
like,
Human Torch, I didn't even, it's just Michael B. Jordan playing the Human Torch. It's just nothing.
Exactly. So that stuff, it doesn't matter. Like, if the actor's a good actor and earns that role,
right,
then they deserve the job. Doesn't matter. But if it's a character that's like Black Panther, or a character that is like standing for like a culture or a country,
Falcon would be another one.
Yeah.
I think, we haven't really explored it in the comic world too much, but there are a few, indigenous, people's superheroes that clearly, that you would want someone of that tribe to play that character, right? Because that's the point of the character.
Right. Okay, but here's what I have to say. I'm tired of giving British people these American roles.
Let's go. Preach it.
Why are we giving Daniel Craig Sergeant Rock? I don't even know if he's British. I think he's something else, right? No, he has to be British because James Bond.
Well, does he have to, or could he be American who played a James?
No, they would never allow that. Yeah. So, and as much as I love Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland, I'm tired of Spider-Man being British. It's time to make Peter Parker American again. All right, like I'm tired of these British people thinking they can come take all of our roles.
What's with that? What's with it?
Get us a nice young American actor.
We can do it
to play Peter.
I'm gonna get you some acting lessons.
I mean, come
get
on.
in there. No, I'm not. I get it. I get what you're saying. Totally. Yeah. I mean, why not?
Go play Captain Britain. Okay. Get out of here. Go play. There's a Spider-Man
Captain
UK. Okay. Go play Spider-Man UK.
There's a reason why you have Pence versions of American comic books, because to my knowledge, there weren't very many British comic books.
Yeah.
So, but hey, we had to contend with the Beatles wiping out American repackaging American music for us in the 60s, and we're getting the same thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what to say.
Who else?
But that's funny.
You know what? Charlie Cox. I'll give Charlie Cox a pass.
Is he British too?
He's British. Yeah.
Wait, so where are all the American actors? What are they all doing? Are we just not?
Steve Rogers.
Is it like the tennis world today, where we just don't have any good American tennis players, or just aren't any American actors capable of playing these roles?
Yeah, I guess so.
That's rough.
Yeah.
We need to do something about this.
Yeah. It's England.
Are we trying? Are we saying
we declared our independence from them?
Are there not enough alpha male actors?
Oh man,
in America to play these characters? What's happening?
Sorry to our British listeners. But
Yes. No, I mean, really,
but also not sorry.
But our British listeners, obviously, you're doing something over there that we need to figure out, because you guys are producing the actors who are most notably filling these slots. So,
you know what I think it is that I think in America, young actors most of the time start off on like kids, like Disney Channel, Nickelodeon, and then they go from there.
Yeah.
And in Britain, in like England, and more specific London, like a lot of America TV gets like, around the world, seen around the world. But in Britain, I think they have a much stronger stage culture than we do. Out here, it's really only in New York, and some cities have like one theater, but Broadway has tons, and same with in London. There's just like a ton, and I mean Shakespeare, right? Everything like that's just like part of the culture. So I think younger actors are like really just classically trained.
Yeah. It would be, man.
So I think that they just grow up in a better system,
And they're not typecast as child actors too.
Yeah.
Which is stuff like does it work for some? For some actors, it works to come up through like Nickelodeon or Disney, and they break somehow. Like Anne Hathaway broke out of that role, right? Miley Cyrus broke out of that.
Yeah.
But it's not easy to do. A lot of these actors, they never are acknowledged beyond, like they can't break the typecast of being whoever it was they played when they were 13 or 10. So I don't know. Maybe that's the thing too. You can't accept someone playing Steve Rogers when you think of him as in the Mickey Mouse Club, or something like that. Yeah. Although Mickey Mouse Club and Steve Rogers probably works. Let me think of somebody else, like Punisher.
Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
He was in the Mickey Mouse Club.
Okay, there you go. He broke out.
Yeah, big time.
But he needed a musical to do it though. It was still LA Story, right? Would you consider that to be his breakout movie?
I don't think so. It's probably The Notebook.
Notebook, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like that too.
Yeah. Well, I'm realizing. Okay, so Yes, I'm tired of giving these British people our roles, but on the good side of that, we did get Robert Pattinson as Batman.
Ding, ding, ding. The goose falls from the ceiling. We have our Groucho Marx moment. Patterson's name has come out again.
I'll find it always. However, I will say when Christian Bale was done, like had retired as Batman, and I guess we did get Ben Affleck, but I was happy that like it was like I just because I didn't like Christian Bale at all and I despised it, and I was like,
wow, I don't despise it. I thought I've come around to your side to understand what makes Pattinson better.
Yeah.
But I still don't have a problem with Christian Bale's Batman.
Honestly,
the voice is a little bit much though.
It's probably like 90% the voice. That's unbearable.
And you never will.
Yeah, but I liked and to be honest, as much as I do really like Pattinson's Batman, I still will say that I think the potential that Ben Affleck had could have probably been one of the best Batmans, just because he had the size for it. He bulked up big time.
Yeah, he was good.
And he had this, like, Robert Pattinson has this edge, but it's more of like this like 90s like emo edge.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck has like this anger to him.
Yeah.
Which if you read any like recent Batman comics, that's like what Bruce is. He's just angry because he raised up this Bat family and feels like he's still the only one who cares for the cause.
So they had to go find someone who had been married twice to J-Lo to get that anger.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
that brooding, that meme where he's like leaning and looking out from a rooftop, and he's like, he's contemplating, rethinking all of his decisions in life.
All of the pictures of him are with Duncan, just like, but yeah, I think Ben Affleck had potential to be one of the best Batman for sure, but I mean, we'll never see that to fruition.
Would you say that the British invasion applies to the female roles too? Is Pugh British? She is, isn't she? Florence?
Yeah, but she's playing a Russian character.
Okay.
I
don't know. I haven't really thought about it.
Think
like who are your female protagonists? Scarlett Johansson, she's American. What about the ones in
Elizabeth Olsen? She's American.
What about in the Ant-Man? Yeah, what's the Wasp? I can't think of her.
She's American. Evangeline Lilly.
Evangeline Lilly. That's it. She's American, so maybe not the same.
Yeah, I also am just trying to think of like aside from Wanda.
Right.
Like course. Staple. Female leads. Maybe. Black Widow, but she's American. But Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff is Russian.
What about Sue Storm? Who's the actress?
Oh yeah, Sue Storm would be up there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, She-Hulk. She's got a pretty big stronghold on the comics. I think she's earned her pretty quickly. She earned her stay and respect.
Is she British too?
No, she's American.
Okay, so interesting.
Yeah,
it bears further study.
Yeah,
we'll look into this. We'll launch some kind of academic study.
Yeah,
we'll have to get all these actresses on the phone.
Yeah, I just don't know that there's just like a. I mean, I think She-Hulk would probably be the most like. This is an American, like, she's a lawyer in LA. Mm-hmm. Like, when you're part of the government system, like that's pretty.
Right.
American.
Oh, and then Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Louis-Dreyfus. That's another one.
Villain, yeah.
Yeah, she's a villain, but she's American.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I'm sure there are American actors playing these superheroes, but not the key big like. I mean, Captain America. Okay, he's American.
Iron Man.
Yeah, Iron Man. Yeah, okay. But anyway, interesting. It's an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
But it's
I'm mostly teasing, but also, they are stealing our roles.
Look. We have thrown your tea in the bay.
We'll do it again
in the harbor. We'll do it again. You'll throw your Blu-rays over.
Yeah. All right. So on from that long rant.
That was a good one though. That was fun.
That was funny. Okay. These just kind of blow past. Lanterns, the Jon Stewart Hal Jordan. I almost forgot Hal Jordan's name. I was like, what is his name? John Stewart and Hal Jordan. I almost forgot it again. I was going to say Hal Lantern.
Yeah, we'd roll with it.
Their show is probably going to be as early 2026. Okay. So, yeah.
I think I'll still be alive.
Hopefully. Superman trailer potentially coming in mid-December. James Gunn teased that it's coming soon. So, we got holiday season coming up. We got a couple big movies coming out. I think that the movie that they were wanting, or that people are speculating that DC would want to get the trailer in front of, is Mufasa. Just because that'll get like a younger crowd. Just young people hype about Superman. One thing I will say is people online are getting mad that, and to be fair, Twitter is just like a hive mind. It's a loud hive mind.
Yeah.
But they're loud, so sometimes you just have to hear what they say. They're getting mad that there's potential that Superman will return to being an all-American guy. And just what... I don't even think they use the word return. I think even me using that word is like giving them the benefit of the doubt. But they're mad that he's going to be... He's probably just going to be like an American values. And my thing with that is like, well, that's why he was created.
Right.
Like, it was the cusp of World War II, and the creators were Jewish, and you have Hitler doing his thing.
Yep.
And so they were creating a hero to counter all that.
Truth, justice, and the American way. I think that's the Superman motto.
And I learned, because I actually did a little bit of study to like figure out the roots. And so briefly, like that's what it was. Like, the two creators are Jewish. You got World War II going on. Hitler and his heinous crimes. And actually, their creation of Superman is what inspired Jack Kirby, who is also Jewish, to create Captain America. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that it was a direct inspiration.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, you had said in an earlier episode what you like, especially about the Penguin series, that the Penguin, they actually just made him stay evil. Like, they didn't cop out. They didn't make him sympathetic. Not really. He's just, in the end, altogether unlikable. Like, to the point of in case there was any chance that you might somehow relate to him, like him, they have him, spoiler, but they have him kill off the one character that you actually do really like in the show. That you're really hoping, even though you know better, you're hoping he doesn't fall victim to the world that he's allowed himself to get drawn into, right, with Vic. By the same token, why can't Superman just be Superman? Why can't he just be good?
Right.
I mean, I know we're in a what we call it a postmodern society or whatever, and you have more complicated heroes, anti-heroes, and I'm not knocking any of that stuff, but the whole, by definition, the term superhero is supposed to be a hero. It's supposed to be like, and if somehow the Twitter hive mind is saying, well, that somehow means that he has to be all American, and that somehow that means that America is altogether and only heroic. It doesn't have to mean that, but he's a guy who wants to do the right thing all the time.
Right.
That's his weakness. I think that's his only weakness. Is that you can create problems for him because he can't save everybody.
Yeah. I've seen this, like, I think also just on Twitter, X, whatever, it's like the way people on certain political or social sides view each other is always seeing them as the most extreme. So it's like, if somebody, like in this example, like, they think, okay, Superman's going to be American. That means he's going to be like this far alt-right. And it's like, no. And then on the opposite side, you have people like on the right side who would look at people on the left and then be like, oh, everybody who's left is like far left like whatever.
Everything about Marvel is woke and we hate it.
Right. And it's like, it's never the most extreme thing.
No.
And it's funny, like I saw this tweet and this guy's like, Twitter is the only place where you could say something and somebody thinks that you've said the complete opposite. So he's like, I could say, like, I don't think this is the exact food he used, but it essentially, I mean, it's the same ballpark. He said, I could say I like bananas, and somebody on Twitter will come up and say, oh, so you hate oranges. And it's like, well, that's not,
and get 25 likes for it.
yeah, it's like, well, that's a totally different conversation. Like, that's not even close. So it's like, I feel like just they hear like Superman is going to be American, and they just think like January 6th or like something like that. I don't know. And it's like,
it's
no,
just,
like you said, like, no, Superman just wants to do right. He wants to do justice. Like,
right.
So,
and definitely that was co-opted in Superman's early years because we were at war, and that's what sold comic books. Can you look at some of these old, I mean, not just Superman, the Timely books, the Captain America, like all that stuff. Of course it's propaganda. Like nobody's saying it's not. Like it was propaganda. It was pro-American propaganda. Propaganda by definition is not negative. It's just clearly trying to convince and persuade and move emotionally the target audience to have a certain idea, perspective about something. In this case, who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, right? Was Superman propagandized? Of course he was, along with every other superhero of the time.
Yeah.
You know, I think we've moved past that. I don't think anybody anywhere has to worry that if Superman isn't some kind of anti-hero conflicted guy, that it's going to be like rah, red, white, and blue, can do no wrong, and if you disagree, you know, then, you know, off with your head kind of craziness. I don't see it. But that is, you just described the Twitterverse though. Yeah. If they can find a way to make Superman like no fun, that's messed up.
Yeah. And I think like America has changed obviously since the late 30s, early 40s.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's anything wrong with evolving the character in a similar way, but still staying true, which staying true is just like caring for people, like even on a global scale.
Yeah.
like America's military is not perfect, but that like when you bring it all the way back, like that's what kind of it is at the end of the day. It's like caring for the world and like trying to maintain peace in the world. Now, like I said, that things change, people in power change, that all of that changes, but trying to be the protector of the world, that's just like what Superman kind of became.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Like a alien, right? Like and somebody who can actually execute that because he can't be touched. Like,
yeah, our heroes ought to reflect what we value in the culture of the time, because why wouldn't it? Like, so if you don't allow Superman to grow and evolve along with the culture he's supposed to be a hero for, then he becomes nothing but nostalgia, and that's not good enough, right? You want, he's no longer heroic. He's a memory of what was heroic, and a nostalgic, and it becomes a very cheesy and version of it. But to keep him contemporary, then he should wrestle with moral issues. That's what was so great about the Bronze Age, right? We've talked about the Bronze Age being like a second coming of the Golden Age for a lot of different reasons. But that's one of the main ones is that comics kind of grew up and said, well, we don't want to just have nostalgic heroes. Let's have, like, there's more going on in our country than just like bank robbers and evil dictators across the ocean. We have our own societal evils. Let's let our comic book heroes engage those things. That's why like the Green Lantern series with Denny O'Neil is so great, and you see that a lot in the 70s. So yeah, of course, Superman in 2024 is not Superman from 1938. There's no way, and it doesn't make sense. But it doesn't mean it's not an either or proposition, right? He can be more modern, but he could and should still embody what we as a culture value most. Yeah. And I think, look, you guys, like we disagree on a lot of things, not you and me necessarily, but just in the world, right? Sure. And it feels really contentious these days. But I don't think you're going to find anybody who says, I don't think truthfulness is a good thing. Honesty, that kind of integrity, justice, protecting the innocent and the vulnerable in society. We all, unless we're just like evil people, we all would say, yeah, we think that's good. So why can't Superman do that? Like we can all get behind that. So that's what I'm all for it.
Yeah. And I mean, like Henry Cavill played like an edgier Superman, and I know he wanted to go into like the classic Superman type, but even that is like a little bit of like a shining a light on the time. This is the cut time.
Okay.
1 sec. Yeah. So Henry Cavill being a little bit edgier just kind of shines a light on the political times in America, because I think that was like 2012, 2013. And you're coming off a few administrations in America that were very war heavy.
True.
And so bringing that like heaviness to Superman and that edge to him, like, yeah, it makes sense. Like you look back at the presidents from, I mean, across those 4 terms, like, yeah, it was a very war heavy time.
Yeah.
So
it was.
Yeah. So it makes sense that he's going to be a little bit more like aggressive and on edge.
Yeah. And it does. We're still in a post 9/11 state.
Yeah.
During that time.
Yeah. So, we're going to go to Superman in a second, but before we do, last point of news, James Gunn did like a podcast. So like we got like little bits of nuggets, kind of everything said, but the last piece right here is he said they will be taking their time with Batman. It needs to be slow, and that he is not going to enter the DCU until he thinks that it's like ready. And so I quote retweeted. Did you see it?
I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah. I said, the Batman, like as in the movie, I said the Batman universe is cooking so hard that Gunn has to be incredibly calculated about how they tell Batman's story in the DCU. Incredible.
Yes, it was nice. It was one of the cool things on X that broke through all the political stuff.
Yeah.
I said, oh, there's something I want to read.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's true. I mean, like I said last week, like, I think it's just going to be hard to do DCU, like, for it to reach its expectations. People love the Batman universe right now, so it's going to be harder. Like, how do you compete with yourself?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that they're just going to have to like be thinking about, but yeah, it's funny because Batman is typically a character that Warner Brothers is like, one era dies, pull the trigger, next actor in line. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, pull the trigger. Okay, next actor in line. Like, there. I mean, Batman 1989. There was like 3 or 4 Batmans.
It was crazy
into the 90s, and then a decently long break until Christian Bale. But even Christian Bale ended, and then it was Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck, even that was a pretty short break into Robert Pattinson. So like, Batman is a character that they just constantly want to be pushing out. And so it's, I wouldn't be surprised if Warner Brothers is like, hey, can we get another one of these? Like, or maybe Warner Brothers is like very content with how the Batman universe is kind of operating. They're like, yeah, dude, like, take your time, do whatever you want. But either way, there's just so much pressure from so many different angles, like of different things, whether it's like the Batman universe is just doing so well. So it's like, do you compete with yourself? And then the pressure of like, well, you don't have a Batman in your like big universe that you're creating where all the heroes exist. So it's like, you better hurry up and do that because you have to compete with the MCU, and the MCU is about to wrap up their second era of themed movies, and they're about to go into their third. So it's like,
but we've talked, like, it's such a challenge though, because Batman, like you said before, and resides in Gotham, and Gotham is different than things that Superman fights, and the Justice League fights, and when you move him into that arena, he's out of what makes him Batman. You know, But in any event, I'm glad I was glad to see that he's not going to rush it, because that's where mistakes happen. Take your time, because if you get it right, how good could it be, right? I mean, Batman is arguably the has the most potential. Some would argue, well, no, Superman does, and that's a good argument to have. But Batman certainly is in that discussion. If you do a Batman, do it right. I mean, you just know there's no end to it.
Yeah.
Can have Catwoman in it.
We had Catwoman. I like this Selena Kyle.
Yeah, she's good.
I saw somebody. Oh, have you ever seen Ben Shapiro's review on the Batman?
No, I have not seen it.
It is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Why would he? What's he doing reviewing the Batman?
I have to send it to you.
Yeah. What? Why? But why? Why?
Because he does this thing randomly where he like reviews movies.
Okay.
And
does he finding because he's very political? Is he like making political points about it?
And this one he does, and it's one of the. It was, man, he basically like his what he gathered from this movie is it's woke because the movie is saying that white people are bad, and I was just like, what?
I didn't catch any of that.
Like, how did you? Right, like you really have to be. The word here is eisegesis.
Yeah, like, I didn't see color at all in the movie. It just was a movie with characters that we all know and love or know and hate.
Yeah, it was. He's talking about or not Commissioner Gordon, I guess Detective Gordon at this time, and then his view on like his whole basis of Batman is, and he even says it in the video, is Nolan's Batman movies are like the gold standard, and like basically like that's his whole perception of Batman. I don't think he really has like a comic book view of Batman, but even with Catwoman, he was saying like I might be misquoting him, but I believe he even said something close to the fact that she has no like actual like moral compass. And it's like, well, yeah, she's not a hero. Like Anne Hathaway was a pretty like more towards the good than she typically is known for, like in the comics. Like she's kind of somebody who's just out for her own selfish interests. And if that means
always,
and if that means partnering with Batman and then like leaving him hanging at the end because she got what she wanted, like then that's what that means. And so that's kind of pretty much like what we got.
Yeah.
Like at the end. And like one of the things like he said was like at the end of the movie when Catwoman goes like, well, like, you know, let's leave Gotham and let's go like steal from some of these like hedge fund types. He was mad that Batman didn't correct her and tell her no. But it's like, okay, well, one, you could tell that he didn't approve of that idea. Like he didn't have to say anything. His silence was enough. And the way that he like his body language, I don't know if he knows, but like body language is like a pretty good acting skill that actors have.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool because it's actually something that Robert Pattinson does really well in the suit compared to like past Batmans, is just using his stature and his demeanor to really communicate a lot. And he uses his eyes probably do the most acting in that movie than anything else.
Yeah, because the suit is very restrictive of that movement.
And so in that moment, he is doing so much with the way that he's looking at her and just engaging with her that shows that he's definitely not approving of that and that he's not going to engage with that. So anyways, it's pretty hysterical because
that's so bizarre because Batman's white. Like I don't get in the movie. I mean, Pattinson, as if that really matters. But I mean, to the point that you're saying Shapiro was making, that people, that no one who's white is doing anything good in the movie or something to that effect.
Well, he just didn't see Pattinson as much of a hero as Christian Bale's Batman. And he was mad that Riddler essentially outsmarted Batman the whole way. But
young Batman, as we've established before.
Yeah, like that's also like he solved everything. He just didn't solve it quick enough.
Right.
Which is a character arc. But anyways, I gotta send it to you. If you guys haven't seen it, it's hysterical because whatever you think about Ben Shapiro, whether you think he's an intelligent person or not an intelligent person, you watch this clip and you're just like, oh, you have no media literacy. Like
that's crazy because he owns a Daily Wire, and I think I find him to be intelligent, But being intelligent doesn't guarantee you're going to be intelligent about everything,
Yeah.
right? And should speak about everything. I've got areas that I may be intelligent in some things, but I'm very ignorant about others, and I just don't. So I keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
So hey, we should contact the Daily Wire and get you on. And you could debate him on it.
Yeah,
you
like-
could debate him on it.
Oh
though.
yeah. Oh, I would rip him apart.
Let's go,
I would
Ben.
easily.
We love you, Ben. The
I don't know
challenge
about
is
all that.
okay. We're throwing it. We're throwing a challenge out to you, Ben. Spro will debate you on your Batman takes.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so that's that. I think it's probably best if we just pause here, if you're okay with that.
Yeah,
And then once they're done, we can come back.
yeah. We'll come back and
Okay.
conclude our issue.
Yeah, okay, so we're going to take a rare pause because I got to tend to something. So,
Yep.
But for you guys, it's not going to be a pause. But for us, it's
Yeah.
going to be a pause. All right, so I took care of what I needed to.
Yeah, it was a long break, but not for you.
Yeah, exactly. It was merely milliseconds
That's
for you
right.
guys. All right. So the last couple months, actually, we've been pretty heavy on cinematic stuff. That
Yeah.
stuff is exciting. That stuff, I mean, honestly, gets really good engagement on short form content.
Yeah.
But the shows are over. Agatha's done. Penguin is done. We got nothing until like February.
So,
So-
we're gonna be put to the test.
Yeah. What kind of content?
How deep can we go?
So thankfully, I need this I forgot my iPad, so been using
so we're gonna break out a whole series on Archie.
yeah. So we're just gonna talk about Archie.
We're gonna do a whole rewatch of Riverdale. I've never actually watched it, so it'd be a watch.
Actually, if you're interested in doing like rewatches, there's some stuff I'd be down to like like Batman Returns. I haven't seen those since I was a kid.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I've seen bits and pieces of just the Christopher Reeve Superman. I don't think I've ever seen one
Yeah,
beginning to end.
yeah, that would be fun. Like I almost said issue 1, but Superman 1, the 1977 movie is, by today's standards, the special effects aren't there, but it's not bad, and
Yeah.
it is kind of the movie that launched it all.
Yeah.
So we're seeing.
I've never seen the Blade movies. So
I haven't either.
yeah, so that could be fun.
Yeah, we could totally do. We could cue all that stuff up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there we go. We just answered we don't have to prove anything anymore. We don't have to prove that we can think deeply about any of this stuff. We just
Yeah.
watch some more shows.
I'm trying to think. I've never seen the 90s Fantastic Four movie. So
Okay. That movie, I clarified the friend that obviously we're not close friends, or I would have known this already, but we have worked together and we are friends. Played Human Torch in that '90s movie. It was the only reason it was made was to keep so that the rights would not revert back to Marvel.
yeah.
So it was they made the movie on false pretenses. They had no idea that it wasn't actually a real movie. They were
Yeah.
the actors were just performing in it, but it never had much of a budget, and there's never going to ever be distributed. The producers always knew it,
Yeah.
but they didn't.
Wow. I wonder if we could get him on.
Yeah, he'd do it. He's done it before for one of my colleagues. He's been on their podcast.
Yeah. Perhaps as our first guest.
Jay Underwood,
Yeah.
who played.
Yeah, we'll see.
who
Maybe we'll
played,
do that.
He'll definitely talk about it.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
That would be fun.
We'll rewatch it. We'll do a segment where we talk about it, and then at a totally different time we could do like a
sure.
recording.
That'd be a blast.
Yeah. All right. So, anyways, I've said all that to say now we're going to get into comic books because something kind of crazy happened. I think it was yesterday or this morning. A 3.0 Action Comics 1 had a bidding close. As you guys know, this book, I mean, we just talked about it. The most important book in comic book history. The most important superhero of all time. Without Superman, without Joel Schuster and Jerry Siegel. I remember their names. I'm proud of myself for that.
Yeah.
Without them, who knows what we'd have today. I mean, even like I said earlier in the pod, their creation of Superman and what Superman stood for inspired Jack Kirby and Captain America. So it's like, Jenny, like, where would we be without them? I also learned that
We'll be reading about the Lone Ranger still.
yeah, goodness gracious. You know what's funny is actually on Facebook Marketplace, somebody is selling a vintage comic book rack for a lot, like $400. It's not worth it. I'll show you after. But it says Dell Comics are good, and it's from like the 60s.
Wow.
And it's a vintage comic book rack, and it's got like all the Dell comic like.
Yeah, Dell Comics are good. It shows up on some of the comics too. They
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So I think someone wants like $400.
Why not like $40?
Yeah, I would probably give him 50 for it.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to have in my office, but I'm not paying $400 for that.
I mean, that's the one place where you might actually invest in Dell.
Yeah, no, that rack might be worth more than any Dell comic I've seen.
No, that's a pretty cool artifact.
But anyways, so this Action 1 3.0 cream to off-white pages went into a bidding, and it didn't hit the reserve.
What was the reserve? We don't know.
We don't know what the reserve is.
How high did the bidding go?
But what I will tell you is on December 15th of 2021, it wasn't the same copy, but a 3.0 cream to off-white sold on Comic Connect for $1,638,759. This didn't hit the reserve. I don't know what the highest bid was because I don't have an account. But the buy it now with the premium included for this book is $960,000.
Whoa.
Whoa, indeed.
How long ago was the other one at 1.6 million?
2021.
And that was a 3.0?
That was a 3.0 cream to off-white.
And this is a 3.
This is a 3.0 cream to off-white. Obviously, no 3.0 is the same. So,
man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's the tone setter for the entire market, because that sets the ceiling.
Yep.
Because there is nothing higher, even close to higher. So if
and
that's
it says offer pending. So somebody is offered less. So,
wow, that's crazy. So there's your chance, people. You get your first appearance of Superman for under $1 million. Quickly,
I mean,
hit stop on this podcast. Go make your bid right now. But if that's true, then everything's coming down. Everything comes down, because that's always going to be the highest priced book. So if that's not in a 3.0 is not getting to $1 million, then it'll be the same for Tech 27. You'll see the same thing for you'll see the price drop for Cap 1, for Superman 1, for all of it. Like, there's no way Superman 1's going to sell for more than Action 1.
Right.
No chance. Comparable grade. Wow. So what does that mean? Are we? I mean, 2001 is like
we all know, yeah.
But
the bubble.
But somebody paid that.
So this is interesting, I think, on a few levels. Okay, not to get political, but we're gonna observe the markets post-election.
Yeah.
Okay. Here in America, we had probably one of the biggest elections in a while. And the outcome, Trump won the electoral, Trump won the popular. The markets, the stock market responded very well to him. Everything went up. Comic books, at least with this, didn't go up. So people in the general market are responding well. Normally, comics will follow, what the market's doing. Maybe, do you think that the comic book market follows the stock market when it's more actualized and realized? Because the stock market reaction to the new president-elect that we have, that could just be like a in theory type thing.
Could be.
Right? Yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
I think the stock market in some corners it is, just for people who, euphoria, I guess, would be like stock market euphoria. Like, but in some cases, based on what Trump promised or maybe what he did in his first term, those industries can expect to do well.
Right.
Like oil and gas companies are going to do better because he's going to lift a lot of moratoriums, and all that kind of stuff. So I could see those companies doing well. Tesla goes up for obvious reasons because, but what is it? But that they can't be across the board. Like not everything's going to do better because even because of Trump's policies, like some things won't do as well.
Yeah. There's the conversation about tariffs and
I'm no economist. I have no clear understanding of like a direct cause effect relationship between tariffs and the price of goods. I just know that he raised tariffs in 2017 and there was a lot of panic about, get your cheap tools at Harbor Freight while you can, because anything from China is going to be too expensive, in a year. That never materialized though. Like, so I'm not really sure why. I don't know why someone tried to explain it to me and I was trying to explain it to Deb and I didn't know it well enough to explain it to her. So I don't understand it well. So I don't know.
But the stock market hasn't seen any like actual. That's why I said like in theory.
Nothing's happened yet. It's all in theory because he hasn't even taken the office yet. So
exactly.
It's all just reaction.
So do you think that's why comic book, like that market, didn't react the same way?
Yeah.
Because clearly, I mean, sure, Action One, like very limited pool of buyers.
Yeah,
that's definitely something to consider. But I mean, that would be my perception of it. Is like the comic book market and potentially other hobby markets wait until the actual like market kind of is finding its actual groove, and not responding into like hypotheticals and theoreticals and stuff like that. Exactly.
And I wonder too, because like you said, something like Action Comics One, there's a handful of like genuine investment comics, right? Action Comics One being prime in that group. Like when the stock market's doing well, I think that bodes well for the most comic books, because generally speaking, it's not the only indicator, but that usually means the economy is doing pretty well, and people feeling good about things, and maybe they have some extra money to spend, and so they do that. But I wonder for these investment books, the ones that cost $1 million, if the stock market's doing well, wouldn't you rather put your money there? If you're going to put $1 million somewhere, maybe a really hard charging stock market isn't good for those 5 to 10 true pedigree investment books, but is really good for everything else, because now you're just talking about collectors and pseudo investors like us. We're like, well, I'm going to invest in these Bronze Age books, but like meanwhile the real investors like, investment means you buy Cap 1 in a 6.0, kind of thing. So maybe there's something to do with that too, where hey, there's other places to put put my money. I don't want to put $1 million in Action Comics One right now because I see good things on the horizon for the overall economy. I'd like to put that $1 million in something else. Whereas, like, I would compare this to say something like precious metals, gold, for example. Gold doesn't usually track with the stock market. Usually, if the stock market's doing well, gold is static. But when the economy is shaky and the stock market's crumbling, that's an overstatement, but dipping, you usually see people seek refuge in something more like gold. But gold is, I never think of gold as a good long-term investment. I think it's just a piece of a much larger.
Yeah.
But I would put comic books in this in other people wouldn't, but I kind of see comic books the way I see gold or maybe even crypto, where it's something other than the stock market. It's something that maybe, because we've said it before, like, look, Action Comics will obviously kind of go up and down, but it's never going to be zero. It's never not going to be worth something.
That correlates specifically and directly to what a $20 bill feels like in our pockets. And so that's to expand on my point earlier, like talking about like, theoreticals, like the stock market, that hasn't directly impacted what a $20 bill feels like to us yet.
Right.
And so that's, I think, when the comic book market will start to respond, is how does that actual money in our bank accounts, in our wallets, what does that actually mean to us and to the way that we spend it? What is $20 getting us at the grocery store, right? And so I think that's when the comic book market sees actual change, because at that point it's like, okay, yeah, how much leftover money do I have at the end of the month? Like, can I buy, this or that book that I've been
That's
looking
right.
at?
Discretionary money at the end of the month. Where do you want to put it?
Yeah, because So that, I think that's when you'll see the actual kind of change in the comic book market.
The industry is just so interesting. The comic book hobby industry. It's just, there's a lot of it is really just collectors that enjoy the hunt and and so in that regard, it is like many other hobbies. You're not really in it because you think you're going to make money, but the truth is, these properties that you're buying, if it's comic books, it's a whole lot better than buying like fishing rods, and you know what I'm saying? Like they will retain some value, like, assuming you take care of them. Like when I was a kid buying comics, I never didn't think of it as money that these comics could be worth more someday. Like I always thought that way. Right. And that obviously is true. So it is one part hobby, but they are still liquid, not truly liquid properties, but they can be sold.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I really wouldn't, I would say like you really start getting into investing when it's like a book like that.
Yeah, that's an investment.
Like that's like it's worth some money, like for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Now like an FF23, are you investing into that? I mean, like not really. You might be able to get out of it what you put into it. This is a
speculation book right here. This is two for me. It's a hobby. I was on the hunt for it. I got it, so I'm stoked to have it. But a part of why I wanted it was to speculate that this character will pop, and this book will then become a much bigger investment for me.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like this embodies exactly what we're talking about. It's two things at once.
Yeah. So we obviously know that 2021 was a bubble.
Yeah.
Right. Comics were my guess was we're coming out of the pandemic. People are happy that they're alive. Well, you kind of have this like Ecclesiastes look on life where it's just like, hey, I'm like, I want to enjoy life and all that it can give me. On top of getting free money from the government. Mm-hmm. And so for some people, that really helped them get through tough seasons, potentially being laid off from work.
Right.
Or for other people, had a stable job, their work didn't skip a beat. For me, thankfully, that was the case. For my wife, that wasn't the case. She lost her job. But for me, my work didn't really skip a beat. And so that could be true for people. And the pandemic money was just, all right, well, I got extra money. Now I don't even have to hesitate or negotiate like a best offer on ASM 129. Like I'm just going to pull the trigger.
We weren't spending money on anything. Like you had to work hard to find something to spend money on during the pandemic. The normal areas where you had, holes in your budget were gone. Like you weren't going out to restaurants. You weren't going to the movies. You weren't going shopping at the mall, just like blowing $100 just because you were, out there.
Yeah.
If you're living places where there are tolls, like, that's the joke in New York City. Like if you just walk outside the house, it costs you $20, like, in different places. We don't really have many toll roads here in Southern California, but in other places, there just wasn't any money leaving anywhere. Like whatever, if you're like, my job didn't change.
Yeah.
I didn't, so I'm grateful for that. I didn't miss any paychecks. But it felt like I had gotten this enormous raise because I wasn't spending it on anything except groceries.
Yeah.
And everything. It's like, so this is the way life could be. Like I could live this way. I could choose to live that way if I wanted to. But kind of the Ecclesiastes mindset. No, I want to go and eat, drink, and be merry because this is the only life I'm going to get on this planet. And I would like to enjoy it with my friends and family and people that I care about. So But yeah, we just had money. Like, well, what should I do then? With it, and then here's a stimulus check or whatever it was they were giving people.
Right.
During the pandemic itself, I had extra money.
Yeah.
I wasn't really looking at comics at the time. It's too bad because I could have sold some books for a lot of money that I had.
Would you have though?
Nope. Fair. You nailed me. I would not have. I would have taken a victory lap though on the value. But yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I think the major investment books, they're just in another realm,
Yeah. So it seems like this Action One is taking, almost a 50%.
That's how bad do you feel for the guy who paid 1.6? Like he's not telling his wife.
Yeah. A 50% discount is kind of crazy. Now, I don't think the market, like the rest of the market, is saying like Action One is a book, and Tech 27, those books exist like in their own realm. And so sometimes I think that yes, the general market is going to follow and those books really like do well, right? Like, because then everybody's thinking like, oh, like books are like, we're back. But, it takes an almost 50% pay cut. I don't know what the actual percentage is. I'm not good at math, but whatever that
it's a lot.
Discount price is. Yeah, it's up there. Excuse me. So do you think that means that people with, FF49 and 48, SM50, SM129, FF52, like, I would say like your premier keys, right? Mm-hmm. Like your good ones. Do you think these books are going to see a big drop off?
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. If they do, I'm going to be right there to buy them at the discounted price for sure. But no, I don't think so. I think as a result of this Action Comics, no, I don't. Because like I said, I think the Action One is so far removed. It's in such a different realm. It's so far removed from even these books on the wall.
Yeah.
If I had Superman 1, it's going to reflect. It's got to come down because Action 1 or Tech 27, Batman 1, Cap 1, First Green Lantern, some of these other some of the like those top 10 Golden Age books. Then they're close enough to Action 1 where they have to retain that percentage dip separation from Action 1. So if Action 1 drops, they drop.
Yeah.
I don't see it really getting into these books as much at all because they're far enough removed. The bigger thing that would affect these books would be, I think, if the economy just took a nosedive and nobody had any money. In which case, if I'm protected from that and we can continue where we are, I probably take advantage of that.
Yeah.
But I'm not rooting for that. I want the market to be healthy.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
So before the 1.6 million sale, that was 2021. 7 years before was the last recorded 3.0 sale in 2014, which was the year I graduated high school. $310,700 was the last sale for a 3.0.
But 700 is an odd addition to it. Like that was the difference between the guy who got it and the guy who didn't was the bid that kicked him to 700.
Yeah. So obviously we took a big pay cut.
Yeah.
There's an offer pending. We don't know what it is until I don't even know if we'll know when it gets accepted. I'm not sure how Heritage does all that stuff. But is this book coming back down? Do you think it goes all the way back down to 300?
Nope.
What's the floor on a book like that? So obviously it didn't hit the reserve. So,
man, to me, it's $1 million book. I don't even almost care what condition it's unless it has no cover.
Yeah.
I think it's $1 million. That to me feels like the floor for that book.
Yeah.
I know that that's not. You just told me it was sold for $300K in 2014, but I just can't imagine it doing that. Like,
yeah.
If it did, that's worth scraping the money together to pick it up.
Yeah.
If you could get that for $300K.
Mom, Dad.
I know, right? I mean, that's
you're 13 again.
Yeah. I mean, here in California, like, what do you can buy maybe a third of a house for that.
Yeah.
I would figure it out because, yeah, I don't think so. I think it's weird timing. It's the month before Christmas. People don't usually spend a lot of money on stuff like that. I know this is an investment book, it's a completely different realm, but yeah, it's an odd the timing to try to sell it. It feels, maybe it doesn't matter for a book like this, but you know, spring to me, like right around the time people get their tax money back.
Yeah.
Now that's not going to make a difference for $1 million book, but at least
Well,
not the taxes I pay.
unless somebody somehow, I mean, people who make that much money and are spending that much money, their tax guys are kind of built different. At that point, maybe they do need to buy it because for some sort of tax write-off purpose.
If I had the money, I would feel like getting that book for the buy it now price. I would feel good about paying that for it and having it. But
Sure.
I don't have that kind of money, so it's all irrelevant. But it's
Yeah.
just, you know.
Well, that leads into the second part of this, which is how come that guy didn't just wait a month for
Right?
the trailer?
Exactly. I fully expect that he's gonna, whatever the offer pending is gonna be rejected because it's not. You're obviously getting less than you were willing to take, and you know there's a whole new set of movies gonna come out and a big push from DC into this character. I think it makes sense to wait.
Yeah.
Just, you don't have to sell it if you don't want to. Keep it. It's Superman. I mean, it's Action 1. It's the first Superman. There'll be a market for it in a year, I promise.
Yeah. Superman's been quiet for a long time. So I think you wait for the trailer. Tying back into one of my hot takes, right? Like, can DCU do this? Can they pull it off? I don't know. The trailer might be the best bet. The safest bet.
Yeah.
Because if the movie comes out and the movie sucks, I mean, that doesn't really impact a book like that in general, but in some ways, like, I feel like at this point it could, because it could just be like, are they ever going to get this character right?
Yeah.
Like,
you want enthusiasm surrounding the character. Remind everybody, oh yeah, Superman.
Yeah.
You know? And then you can,
most recognizable logo across the world.
Man, I wish I could buy it. You know what I mean? Like of course in any condition would be amazing. But at least in a condition where it doesn't, it's not so beat up that that's the only thing I see when I look at it. Like all the flaws. Like,
right.
You know, but like split spine, like detached cover, the things that we've talked about before, I wouldn't care. You know?
Yeah.
I would love to own that book.
Yeah.
I know that it would be a good investment. Maybe not for the guy who bought it in 21, but depending upon how long he wants to hold it, he'll get his money back.
Yeah.
It's never not over the span of a decade gone up. It's going to go up again. 2021 is just a weird time. But man, would I love to own that book. Can you imagine holding that book and saying, yeah, this is my book?
No joke. Yeah.
Where do you even go from there as a collector at that point?
Don't.
You're like,
You're retired.
Are you retired? Is it over? Are you done? Probably not, because then you just move on to like, well, what now? You know? Okay.
You run feeling early action comics at that point.
Ooh.
Does the comic book market, following this failed sale of Action 1, does it go lower? Does the comic book market go even lower? Does it continue to overcorrect?
Ooh, man. I think we're pretty much at the bottom.
Yeah.
I don't think there's much, just looking at, there's some really good content creators out there that are really good with this. On YouTube, they'll put these graphs up and they'll show you the trend lines. And then of course you see the big spike in 2021, all that stuff. But I think at this point, I've seen it. And the trend lines are back to the normal angles. And the books have returned to that. Now, if they continue to go down, now we're dipping below the trend lines pre-bubble. And I just don't see it. I think we're, you can never call a bottom of anything, but no, I don't think it, like, given like a year from now, we're going to be like, wow, another 25% dip in the comic book market. I don't think so.
Yeah.
So
do you think we get a 25% increase?
No, I don't think I don't think that'll happen yet. I think it's poised to happen though. I wouldn't be surprised to see, kind of just a year of just, steady growth of kind of back to like the 5 to 7% sort of steady growth. And then if we do get some really good stuff coming out of DC, then you'll see certain things kind of like spiking up, because we've talked about it. DC especially, there's a lot of undervalued books over there. Marvel, I think you won't see a lot of like things spiking, maybe some FF stuff, because of the movie, and maybe some Avengers things. But definitely DC has so much room to, like, they've been depressed lower and longer than Marvel.
Yeah.
So maybe 20, maybe a 20% increase on some of these DC projects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Here's my hot projection.
Okay. Yeah. Let's hear it.
2025 is the bounce back year.
Let's go.
I don't think necessarily to 2021 prices, but I think following this failed bidding auction, I think generally the response is going to be like, wait, what?
Like that Batman too. Remember the Batman one?
Yeah.
There was another one.
And I think people are going to be like, it's going to motivate people to buy, like, I can get a book that cheap.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, 960,000 isn't that cheap.
Yeah.
But in its context, almost a 50% discount.
Yeah.
It's like, what the heck? So I think people are going to see that and they're going to be like, okay, well, if the Action one is discounted, I'm going to go see what else I can get.
Yeah.
Yep. So I think you're going to see a little bit of increase in keys and buyers kind of being a little bit more aggressive in buying keys.
Yeah, are we supposed to do the disclaimer at this point? Like, we are not. This is not financial advice.
Yeah, not financial advice. We're not professionals. We're bozos, morons.
Don't sue us if the book goes down. But you know what? We would be kind of fun to do an episode some point early next year where we just kind of compile each of us a top 10 of like key books. Like maybe one time it's top 10. You do 5, I do 5. Silver Age, Bronze Age, just keys that we think, are going to pop. Like if they've hit the bottom, you got to get in now kind of books. It's not something that hasn't been done on the internet before.
Yeah.
Everybody has their take, but I always watch those videos. I think they're fun.
Yeah.
And they're fun to look back in a year to say, were they right? Or were they wrong?
Yeah.
But yeah, some of these things it's kind of ridiculous. I don't understand how the first Iron Fist or the first Shang-Chi are where they are right now.
Yeah. And
for example,
when we went to go do the FF5 trade, Chris at Jaws Comics, who I did the trade with, he even said that comic books have always followed cards.
Right, he did.
He said cards are kind of always the first like ones that hobby makes them
the bellwether in the collectible investment world. And what did he say about the cards?
And he said the cards saw a recovery and a bounce back in 2024. So his guess was, and he also stated that they boomed first during that 2020-2021 time, and then comics followed. So he said that he thinks that comics will follow suit, and I think so as well. I think we've overcorrected, and I think it's got to correct one more time back before it settles into a comfortable place. And then at that point, we could have a huge fall off again, or we could have a huge fall off. We could have a 2021 again. I hear people say, we'll never have 2021 again. I don't think that's true. Like they said that about Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin hit 60K and they're like, it's never going to hit 60K again.
Bitcoin is almost at 100,000. It's like 90. Last I checked, it was 97,000.
Yeah. And so it's going to get to 100, and I think people are going to sell, and then it's going to come crashing down. And then people are going to say,
no, diamond hands.
And then people are going to say, it's never going to hit 100K again. And it's going to hit 100K again. It's going to pass 100K. And so I think crypto happens a lot faster.
Yeah.
The comic book market is a lot slower, and it's elongated because it's not, you can invest into Bitcoin and crypto. But I think we're doing what crypto's done, just at a lot slower pace.
Yeah.
We boomed, we came back down. Crypto boomed again. I mean, it's boomed and gone down a decent amount.
I think my theory on crypto is that it's gonna dip in January because, like me, there's a lot of especially if you're holding it in like an ETF fund versus like on one of these crypto wallet servers. Everybody's going to wait. They don't want to pay the taxes on their gains, so they'll wait until January 1st or 2nd to sell, so they can put off the taxes for that for a year.
Yeah.
I'll probably sell mine around sometime in January, and then I'll look to get back in and buy it back in on the dip, because I like having it as a hedge, because it's just one of those things where it's just a diversification of the portfolio kind of thing. I'm not retiring on crypto. I'm not putting that much money into it.
Sure.
So I can't lose that much, and I'm not going to gain that much, but not that I'm not cheerleading for it. I'm like, go run, get up over 100K,
Yeah. So I think I don't think it's going to happen next year. If it does, that'd be a shock. I mean, the whole economy would have to like really shake up. Like, yeah, it would have to be an insane economy. It would have to be an insane, fast and quick economy correction,
right?
Which I think comes with its own problems if it does happen that fast.
Right.
But yeah, I think we do operate at a little bit of a slower pace, and I think, hey, if you look at your books in your collection, I think based on what we've seen from cards, based on what we see from crypto, and just following those things.
Yeah.
Like I said, we operate a little bit slower. So I think even with what does our dollar feel like, I do think that that's an important factor and contributes to the speed at which we're like moving. But taking that factor out of it and just looking at what these other markets have done, I think that we're due for a comeback. And I think we could see it in the next year. Probably more realistically the next 2 years. Let us know your thoughts. What do you think? Do you think that the comic book market will go sooner than later, or do you think it's gonna keep slowing down and get worse in the next couple of years? I think our concluding projection between us both is, it's gonna keep its steady increase. That it always has, that any market really has generally, because typically money just gets stronger over time, like the stock market, all that stuff, even though it has like seasons of dipping and seasons of going up. Either way you look at it, it's always going to be moving forward. And so, I think we're going to see that. What did you say? 5 to 7%. I think that's going to like continue to be true. I think the speed at which it kind of goes is dependent upon what the general economy does and how the dollar feels in the pockets of Americans. And I think that solely just impacts the speed at which the comic book market is going to correct. I don't think that it's going to really impact the general market, because I think at the end of the day, when times are good, when times are bad, people still want things to help them, to be a hobby, to be a distraction, to be something that they have money, like even just the general idea of spending money, even in times of difficulty, like you still just want to buy something because of the dopamine hit and because you enjoy it. So that truth is going to be true regardless of what the economy says.
So in other words, we'll still be here creating content even if we have a depression.
Yeah, and the adpocalypse, at least that's happening on Twitch. It's not happening on YouTube, but
that's right.
All the companies that pulled out of Twitch.
Is that right?
Yeah, I'll explain it to you. That's pretty
camera.
crazy.
Yeah, okay.
It's like YouTube had an adpocalypse back in like 2011, 2012, where just a bunch of companies like pulled and like
just decided we need to tighten our belts,
or just like, I don't remember if it was like drama related or it was like we just can't stand, like we don't want our brand tied to what is happening on this platform or whatever. Like that's kind of what happened.
That's what's going on in Twitch right now?
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Alrighty.
So yeah.
People will always advertise with Superman. He's great.
So Action 1, let us know your thoughts. Comment down below. Yeah. Thanks so much for listening, our audio listeners and our YouTube watchers.
Thanks,
Thank you
guys.
as well. See ya.
See you later.